All right, question number four. It says a team of four players competed in a golf contest. The names and scores of the players on the teams are shown in the table. The team score is the sum of all the scores in the table. It has a golf score table and it says your players' names on the left and your scores on the right. Brett scored -2, Elliot scored +3, Lynn scored -4, and then Tyrone scored -1. And it says, what is the team's score? Now, there's many different ways you could solve this. Okay, you could solve this just by straight solving all these questions. And when it says the sum, that means we are adding all of these. So what you could do is you could just go ahead and add all these numbers going straight down. Now, I'm just going to work at two at a time. So I'm going to work with Brett and Elliot. So Brett and Elliot says -2 plus 3 equals what? We're going to solve that. There's many ways you could do this, okay? I use some different strategies instead of having to draw so many counters. I use the same sign. You're going to add and keep the sign. And then if they're different signs, we subtract and then keep the larger absolute value. Okay? So I'm going to use these two rules. All right. Now, when I see here, I have a -2 and a +3. I know those signs are different, so I'm going to subtract and keep the larger absolute value. That part confuses a lot of people, so I'm going to show you how I do that. So I know I'm going to subtract these two. So when I subtract these two, I'm going to subtract these two like I would in elementary, and I'm going to write them vertically. In elementary, I will put that 3 on top, and I will subtract the 2 on the bottom. And I know that 3 minus 2 is 1. Now I need to know if that's a positive 1 or a negative 1, and that's when I come and I look at the number on top. My number 3 was on top, and I come and look at this, and my 3 was a positive, meaning my answer should be a positive. So that came out to a +1. I worked Brett out. I worked Ellie out. Now I'm going to add Lynn. I'm going to use the answer I had. So I'm going to say 1 plus -4 equals what? Again, I'm going to look at my 1 and I'm going to look at my -4. I'm going to see I have a positive and a negative. Again, those two signs are different. So I am going to subtract. And again, just like I did right here, I'm going to subtract those two like I did in elementary. I'm going to subtract them vertically. And in elementary, I would have put that 4 on top and then the 1 on bottom. And 4 minus 1 is 3. Now I need to know if that's a negative or a positive, and I could look at that 4 and say, hey, my 4 in my original equation was a negative, so that means my answer was going to be a negative. You could also tell that I had more negatives than positives, meaning that I should be left over with negatives. So now I worked out my third one with Lynn, which was -4. And so I'm going to bring down my answer of -3, and I'm going to add my last one of Tyrone, which was -1, and I need to find my answer. Now I'm going to look at my integers and say I have -3 plus -1, and those two signs are the same. So I'm going to come over here to this rule, and for the same signs, I'm going to add them and then keep the sign. So since I know that both of these were negative and I'm keeping the sign, my answer needs to be a negative. Then I'm going to add the numbers. So 3 plus 1 is 4. So my answer should have been -4, which was C. Good luck, guys.